All right, we can go ahead and start the notes for 5.2. We're going to be converting equations of circles as well as completing the square. The first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to go back over some vocabulary. We have a circle is a set of all points P in a plane that are the same distance from a given point. So we'll start off with circle here. This given distance is going to be the radius of the circle. And that given point they were talking about is the center of the circle. And we talked about this in the notes 5.1. We're reminded here of what our equation, our standard form of the equation of a circle is, with H and K being our center and R being our radius. We're also reminded here what happens with our equation if our circle is centered at the origin 0, 0. We will not be adding or subtracting anything to the x or y. We will just leave it as x squared and y squared. So after the warm-up, the yellow half sheet that we did, I know that I was very, very tired and struggled through that recording. Hopefully it made some sense. We're going to go ahead and put it all together, and we're going to follow our steps here. The first thing we need to do to convert this, to start getting this into the standard form of the circle that we want, we need to move our constant to the other side of the equal sign. So over here we need to get rid of this 5 by subtracting it from both sides. When I rewrite this, two things are going to happen. First, I want to make sure that I get my buddies together. So my x's need to get together, my y's need to get together. Also, I'm going to need to figure out, I'm going to need to complete this equation with adding something after the x squared plus the x and the y squared plus the y. So I'm going to be leaving a blank, and if none of that made sense, I'm going to show you exactly what I meant. Here, I need to get my x squared, and I need him to join his buddy with this plus 4x. So we're going to add the 4x. Then I'm going to leave a blank for something that I'm going to have to add in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and go with my y's and get my y squared plus, I'm already messing up here. It's going to happen, right? And we have our minus 6y, so we're going to subtract a 6y. And then I'm going to put a plus blank because I'm going to have to add something there as well. We set this all equal to, now we have a negative 5 over here instead of a 0. So what we do now is we need to figure out what to put in this blank. And the formula for this is going to be, this is our c, our constant. This is going to be equal to b over 2 squared. Remembering that b is that middle term right here, okay? And I'll rewrite this up here. Remember we have ax squared plus bx plus c. This was learned in algebra. Okay, so what we are going to do here is take b, and we're going to take 4 over 2 squared, so we can figure out what we're going to put here. And when we do that, we are going to come up with 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Squared is 4. What I have done now is I have unbalanced my equation. I added something to the left, so now we're uneven. So what I have to do is what we've always learned, if you do something to one side of the equal sign, you have to do it to the other as well. So I don't want to forget, so I'm immediately going to come over here and add that 4 over here as well. Then we'll take a look at the y, and we see here that our b is negative 6. So here I'm going to do negative 6 over 2 all squared. And when we do that, we are going to come up with 9. And again, I've unbalanced myself again. I've added a 9 on the left. I need to come over here immediately and add that 9 to the right. What I need to do now is I need to clean this up because this is just messy. So I'm just going to rewrite everything, but without these lines underneath, and I'm going to combine my like terms over here on the right. So here we have x squared plus 4x plus 4, followed by all of our y stuff, our y squared minus 6y plus 9, all set equal to, we have a negative 5 plus 4 plus 9, we're going to wind up with 8. This 8 is going to stay into the end of the equation. So what ends up happening is this 8 is actually representing our radius squared. So he's going to stay, but we need to do something else with our x's and our y's. We need to factor these. So starting with the x, we know we need to end up with x plus or minus something squared. And in order to determine what we're adding or subtracting, we're going to go back to b, 4. But instead of squaring it this time, all we're going to do is divide it in half, or divide it by 2, cut it in half, and we're going to wind up with a positive 2. So we add 2. Then we move over to the y's and we do the exact same thing. Here we have a negative 6, so when we take the negative 6 and we divide it by 2, we're going to wind up with a negative 3, making this a minus 3. And we set that all equal to that 8. We have now created our standard form of the circle's equation. But the question here, or the example here, is not asking just for that. It's asking us to find the center and the radius. We have to come up with the equation in order to find the center and the radius. And this is in the notes 5.1. So to find our center, we need to remember, we need to take what's next to x and what's next to y, and we need to switch the signs up on them. So this was a plus 2, so this is now going to become a negative 2. This was a minus 3, so we need to make it a positive 3. Our radius, remember the 8 is our radius squared. So to undo it, we need to square root it. So we need to do the square root of 8. We have to check to see if that's simplified. If not, we need to simplify the square root of 8. So when we come over here to show that work, we find out that we can multiply 4 times 2 to get 8. And then this, our perfect square, breaks down into another set of 2's. So when we simplify, these partners are going to go outside the radical sign, and the guy all left by himself goes inside, leaving our radius as 2 square root of 2. Okay? We have 3 more examples. If you would like to, maybe get some guidance through example 2, I suggest you then pause it, do example 3 by yourself, and then resume it to see if you did it correctly. Okay? The only way we can learn from our mistakes is to make those mistakes on our own and then get them fixed. Okay? So we'll start off exactly the same. Here we need to move our constant to the other side, so this time we're going to add 4 to both sides, so these cancel. When I rewrite, I want to get my x's together, my x squared plus 6x, and then I want to make sure that I add on a blank that we will find out later. Then we're going to go ahead and get our y's together. We have a y squared, and then we have a minus 10y. And then we're going to add a blank. And we're going to set this all equal to what we have over here now, which is a positive 4. So we'll go through and fill in our blanks now. Okay? So again, using b, right here, the 6, we're going to do the 6 divided by 2, all squared, to figure out what goes right here. And we'll come out to 9. We'll do the same thing over on this side with our y's, negative 10 over 2, all squared, to figure out what goes in this blank. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to move this guy over here. I'm unbalanced. Glad I remembered that. So we need to add that 9 to the other side. I know you guys are probably yelling at me through the computer. Here, the negative 10 divided by 2 squared. We're going to wind up with a 25. Again, unbalanced, so bring them over here as well. And let's clean this up. We're going to rewrite everything here that I have in pink. We're going to rewrite everything I have in purple. And we're going to combine these terms over here. X squared plus 6x plus 9 plus y squared minus 10y plus 25. All equal to, we have 4 plus 9 plus 25. We're going to come out to 38. Remembering that 38 is representing our r squared, radius squared. So now we need to factor figure out what we're going to add or subtract to x. So this is just going to be b divided by 2. And that will give us a positive 3. We move over to our y's. Again, we're going to take that negative 10, divide it by 2. We're going to wind up with a negative 5. So that means a minus 5 here. And we set that all equal to that 38. Almost ran out of room there. So covering this up, we have our equation of our circle. So at this point, we can now figure out what our center is and what our radius is. Our center, switch the signs up on these. We're going to have a negative 3 on the x-coordinate and a positive 5 on the y. Our radius is going to be the square root of 38. We'll go to the side and see, what do we multiply to get to 38? Well, I know it's even, so I could divide it by 2. And that's going to end up being 2 times 19. And what we're going to notice is 2 and 19 are both prime. We can't factor anything else out. So there are no partners to go outside the radical house. So what this means is the square root of 38 is done. It's simplified. So our radius is just left with the square root of 38. I'm hoping with those two examples that you will take it upon yourself, be responsible, pause, see if you can get these done by yourself, or at least get as far as you can. And if you get stuck, then you can resume it and look and see what we did, but you need to see what you can do on your own. But of course, I will be walking through this. We're going to move this constant. I'm going to go a little quicker now. We're going to move this constant over. We're going to set up, put my x's together. So I've got my x squared plus 8x plus, I don't know yet. Bring in those y's. Man, we just keep subtracting those y's, huh? Y squared minus 4y plus, don't know yet. This will all be equal to, we have a negative 4 over here now. Okay. So we will use our formula of C equals B divided by 2 all squared to figure out what's going to go in these blanks here. So here B is 8, so I've got 8 over 2 squared. That will lead us over here to give us 16. I'm unbalanced. If I add anything over here, I need to bring it over here to the right side as well. Then we go over here to our y's. We have negative 4 over 2 squared. So we're going to wind up adding 4. Unbalanced. Let's balance it out. Bring them over here too. Time for spring cleaning. Clean all of this up. We've got our x squared plus 8x plus 16. We are going to add the y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals, combine all of this together. We actually noticed what I did was I noticed a negative 4 and a positive 4, they cancel each other out, so we're left with 16. So now we need a factor. Let's factor our x. We're going to take b divided by 2. We're going to get a plus 4. Figure out our y's, doing the exact same thing. Do that over here. We have a negative 4 over 2. So we're going to wind up with a minus 2. All set equal to that radius squared of 16. And we have our equation. We'll find our center. Negative 4, opposite, positive 2. Our radius will be the square root of what we have over here of 16, and we got lucky, we had a perfect square, so your radius is 4. The last one, and there's not a whole lot of room to write here, but we've got this. Subtract our constant, our 8 over here to get rid of it. I'm going to rewrite this over here. I'm going to get my x's together. X squared plus 8x plus, I don't know yet, plus, get our y's over here. Y squared minus 2y plus, don't know yet, all equal to this negative 8. So let's figure out what goes in our blanks now. Take b over 2 squared. Wind up with 16. Need to add them over here too. And over here we have a negative 2 over 2 squared, which will turn into 1. So we need to add that 1 over here as well. And then we'll clean it up and make this look nice. We can have our x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus y squared minus 2y plus 1, all equal to, when we combine all of these together, we're going to get 9, representing r squared, and that will factor. B over 2 gives us 4, so we'll have a plus 4. For our y, we have that negative, let's see where I want to write it, with a negative 2 over 2. We wind up with a minus 1, equal to our radius squared of 9. And there's our equation. So we will end this out with getting our center and our radius. Our center is located at negative 4, positive 1, and our radius, again, the 9 is our radius squared, so we have to square root that 9, and again we got a nice, pretty radius of 3 with our perfect square.